Okay, guys, we are back with another TwoSun knife. I haven't had a TwoSun in for a little while, and this old sword blade reviews really turned me on to TwoSun. This was loaned in from my buddy over at Tier 1 Gear Reviews, and I'll put a link to his channel down below, as I always do when people loan me knives. Speaking of this old sword blade reviews, this is a TwoSun that he gifted me way back early when I first started my channel. And you can see it does get a lot of love. He loaned me a bunch of TwoSun knives. It was my first experience with them. And this one he told me to keep. So, because I really liked this one out of the group of knives that he had sent me. So, Dave, thank you for that. Justin, thanks for sending this in. Okay, now I'll put all the specs in the description below, but this is a TwoSun TS-313. It's super fidgety, which is absolutely not my jam. And I recently did the Smock 23 video where I titled it, "Is It Too Fidgety?" And it was interesting that somebody made a comment on my Nimble video and said, "Hey, you thought the Smock 23 was too fidgety. How come you don't think this is too fidgety?" Well, because they're different. This doesn't guillotine closed. It doesn't have a button lock. Not as fidgety. Okay? Kind of fidgety. It's cool. It's too small, and I talk about that in the video that I did of it, but hey, you know, it's cool. But I don't think this is a super fidgety knife. This TwoSun, crazy fidgety. Almost more fidgety than the Smock. I don't know. That's not my style of knife. Really, it's not. So let's zoom in and take a look at this. This is done really well, but it's certainly not my style. One, it's too fidgety. Two, it has that kind of almost Persian style upswept blade. It's a Tonto, which I do like. It has really nice milling. Okay. It's titanium scales, runs on bearings, weighs in at 5.7 ounces. So it's not a lightweight, but it's done really well. I do like it, but not really my jam exactly. It fits great and feels good in the hand. Works well in the pocket. You can choke up a little bit. Jimping on top is nice. I mean, the action is, I don't like the action. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's the drop shut that just, I don't find a lot of joy in that. Okay, that's just me. The other thing that I do have a little bit of an issue with is the thumb stud has a little bit of jimping on that, but it's a little bit harsh. So after a while, it kind of becomes uncomfortable on your thumb. And that's both left-handed or right-handed thumb stud. So I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. The thing with the button lock is you can pop it open with or without the thumb stud. It's just not my thing exactly, guys. But what I do want to talk about really quickly is the differences. Let me zoom back in again. I know we're going in and out, in and out, in and out. On the Smock, it is a little bit different, and we'll talk about this in just a second. So typical button lock is, if you can see here in the middle, right next to that stop pin, you've got the button. So the button is over here on this side, and it's pushing in the stop pin over here. The lock pin on this side. it kind of pushes it into this opening. See how it pops in there? And then it closes. It pushes that, literally pushes that out of the way of the blade. Where on the smock, it's different. As we open this up, it's kind of like a reverse compression lock. So the actual button doesn't interface with the blade at all. It just pushes this liner out of the way. And I did explain that in the smock video, but I thought this was a good example to kind of show the differences here. And yes, some people talked about how this might be potentially weak, even though it's a button lock, because the leverage point is back here. And I guess, yeah, if you were really like bearing down on the blade, yeah, I get their point, right? Because there's a lot of leverage right here if you really got into it. But here it's a little just different. And this is maybe a little different than some other button locks I've seen as well. But so there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, so to speak. So I don't know. It's a cool knife. It's about $169 on Amazon, even though it's an older model, but it's done really well. I like TwoSun. They are in the affordable range, in that $100, $200 range for cool knives. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the fidget factor and the drop shut. So I'll put a link up here to my smock video and a link up here to my nimble video in case you had not seen them. Please go check them out. I would greatly appreciate it.